What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Tyke Miller Outdoors, and in today's video we have the Mercury National Walleye Tournament for 2023. It took place over June 10th and June 11th this year. It's a two-day fishing tournament that I do with Tim, and unfortunately, as I stated in the last video, we have no audio for the tournament, but it is what it is. So I'll do what I can to talk through some things and explain some stuff to people and not just overlay music and bore people the whole time. But um, so this tournament, this year there was 287 boats, I do believe. The teams split. They split it at boat 150. So boats 1 through 150 are on the west side of the lake that take off, and boats 151 through the end of the pack, they take off on the east side, and it's a single file line. You go through your check-in, you hold your board up, and kind of everybody goes as as their number comes up. And on the second day, it goes reverse order. So boat number 150 is the first one to take off on the west side, and the last number of the higher numbers, I suppose, takes off on the east side first the second day. Everybody gets about I think it's 17 hours of fishing in for the tournament, but yeah, it's a very interesting and unique start compared to most tournaments. A lot of tournaments are shotgun start where everybody just kind of takes off at the same time, but um, this one's different. It's kind of cool. It adds a little bit of difference to it. So for the tournament, we're trolling crawler harnesses, and Tim and I both run 3 different depths back to try to get an idea of where the fish are most active at for the day. The water clarity is pretty high this year, at least for the start of this tournament. And Tim gets the net stuck on the rod over there. You can tell he's kind of panicking, and got a net-worthy fish there, so you don't want to miss it. That fish was 18 and a half, and couldn't really be upset about it. We were really hoping to have 19 or bigger, but 18 and a half is so close that it's kind of indifferent at that point to us. But here you can see the board going back. I kind of left it there to watch. I mean, it's not the best, but you can kind of get an idea. You can see the board. They kind of act like a horizontal bobber, right? They kind of just slide back, and you can tell that it loses its alignment with the other boards. And every fish kind of has a stereotypical bite, where a sheephead's really aggressive, the board will rock around a lot. A walleye kind of just sucks the board back slowly, and the back end just drops because the walleye just sits there with it. Sheephead are all over the board. Catfish act like a really big walleye, and sturgeon just take you for a ride. Half the time, if you ever hook a sturgeon, whether you hook it, snag it, whatever, you're better off to almost just cut your line or hope it doesn't snap in a bad spot, but you're going to waste a lot of time with that fish. It's unfortunate, but you can't prevent it from happening, you know? It's not like you can tell the sturgeon to go away, so... So we started to hone in on where the fish were really liking it. We were starting to get more bites around the 20 to 22 feet back distance with 1 ounce inline weights with our harnesses. We figure that we're running roughly in the 10 to 11 foot down range. And we were marking a lot of fish just a little bit below that, and fish tend to feed up. So we started transitioning more to having our baits in that depth range. And gold color baits, gold and black like that. It's called Muffin, actually, by Backwaters Customs. It seemed to be a pretty hot color, so we were getting more and more baits similar to that out around the same depths, and we hit a good school of fish here. We had a really big lull-in day there where we went about 2.5 hours without much of anything, and then shortly after that, then we finally found a school of fish here and got going. Unfortunately, we had really hoped to get those 19-inch fish, but started finding some 18s, and you really can't be mad at fish in that 18 to 18 and a half range. So started keeping some of those. I mean, you're talking 5 fish in that range is about 12. I don't know. I mean, 10 to 12 and a half pounds, depending on each individual fish. I mean, one of the 18 and a halfs we got for the day weighed about 3 pounds. We put it up to the scale, so. 12 and a half on Bago 2 for your typical tournament. That'll end up in almost every tournament. You're always going to be somewhere in the middle of the pack with 12 and a half pounds. It's nothing to be mad about on Winnebago. So we're okay with keeping them here at this point, especially with how slow the day went. But like I said, it definitely went lights out. I mean, here's another one of those 18.5 inch just chunky fish, and I mean, you're plenty happy to get those in the boat. Back to some of the rules though. So this tournament's live weigh-in too. Like I said, we can only have 6 fish in the boat. So once fish number 3 hits the boat for one person, that person is supposed to be done fishing, and you're down to 3 boards. And currently, Tim's got this one fish on in the boat right here. We tossed it back. We had one on that looked very promising on this one. Once you start to get multiple bites, you're really gonna start prioritizing what fish look right and which ones don't, and handle those fish first. So this one seemed like a good fish, so we took this one. We left the outside board on my other side. We just kind of left it hang back. It was quite a ways back. And it was definitely a small fish. But you never know, right? It's always hard to tell. So that was another one that's going to go back in there. It was one of those days for us. It started out really slow, but as the day went on, we all of a sudden we found the fish, and the action got hot and heavy there for a while. I mean, you can tell we only have, between sheephead and walleyes, we only got a couple rods in the water here, and this was pretty common for the day for us. But so after you get those, once you get the 3 fish in the live well for one person, I mean, we really do our best to kind of rotate everything throughout the day, and so you're not handicapping yourself for too long in a day. And handing the rods back and forth, everybody gets their share of fish, and when one person gets their 3 in the boat, then we're down to 3 rods, which usually hits at 5 fish then, just the way that you go. But then at that point, you're basically playing net man, bait the fish, take fish, or bait the baits, take fish off, and that's about it. We always figured it's just not worth taking the chances of basically cheating, or just not following the rules to a T, because the year that you're gonna do good and have to subject yourself to a polygraph test, and if you can't pass it because you made one bad call throughout the day, I mean, it ruins your reputation, right? And it's not worth it. I mean, we enjoy doing these because we enjoy the competition of it all, right? So there's no point in bending the rules just because for the year. So play them to the T, and you know you did it all right. So we hit a good school of fish here, and we, unfortunately, at this point, we had thrown that 16.5 inch in the live well, and we kind of regretted it because we really hit a good school of fish, and started tossing back fish of equal size, and obviously, which we knew was the right decision to make, but it was unfortunate we threw the 16.5 in the live well, because now we're throwing back fish that are slightly bigger than it that we didn't want. But we've had years in the past where we've been a fish short of our limit, and it's cost us what would actually be hundreds of dollars, because some of those years, I think our best year ever, we only had 6 fish, and we took 21st place, I believe. And God, I would have done anything for some of those 16.5 inch fish, but what are you gonna do, right? You got to make the decision on the spot and hope it's the right one. And there's definitely years where we look back and we've definitely thrown back fish like that, but we know we made the right call, and you can't be mad about that. So here's another nice boxer for the tournament. Something that we definitely would have been nice having 5 of those ones, but shortly after that the camera died and we missed the next fish, which ended up being a 20-inch fish, and now we're down to 3 rods. I'm playing net man, bait the hook. We clearly had to scale out because we were weighing some of the fish to see if they were worth keeping or not, and this is where we're at now. There's always the old saying where you never leave fish to find fish, but at this point in the day, we had a lot of boats have been starting to kind of move in around us and everything, and in our experience, fishing always seems to slow down quite a bit when there's too many boats in the area. It's got to be something with the noise and everything, and more baits being presented at them. So we either find that we're catching small fish, no fish, or sheephead and white bass, and nothing that we want. and we always try to get away from those group of people. I don't like to ever be in too many people, for a multitude of reasons, but mainly just due to the fishing quality. So fishing had definitely gone downhill at this point, and it's been about an hour and 45 minutes of trying to hit those same fish up that we were hitting where the school was there, right? I mean, you don't want to leave that school, but it obviously wasn't working for us. So we went to a spot that we had caught a nice one during pre-fishing on. It was about a 22-incher, and we drove down there, which was probably about 5 miles south of where we were. And we got down there, and there was only one boat in there, about half a mile west of us, and we're like, perfect, let's set up. And within 5 minutes, we're hooked up here with what appeared to be a nice fish, and that's exactly what we were looking for, you know. It was just a shame that we were down to 3 rods at this point, and only could get one more fish in the box. And here we go. Fish number 6 in the live well for the tournament. Beautiful 20.5-incher. Very solid fish for a live weight tournament. Nothing to be ashamed about.
Walleye Weekend, Mercury National 2023. Day 1's in the books. We got our 5 fish. We are kicking ourselves in the butt for putting a small one in. We had a really slow morning. Put a smaller one in, but you know what? It's better than going under the donut. Others, we got 5 decent ones besides the one. And luckily the smallest one's the belly up one. So that's all we can do, but heading to weigh in about an hour early. So let's see how we do.
So we were actually wrong when I recorded that video. We had 2 belly up fish. The one kept, every time you would touch it, it would perk up and it would start swimming, and we assumed it was okay, but when we got to the weigh-in, the scores deemed the fish dead. Whether that was true or not, and it took off when it got out to the main lake, we don't know, but oh well, it is what it is. So we were sitting in about 66th place after the first day, and that's definitely not a spot that you're upset with, because you can easily go upwards and you're right in it with everything. I mean, we were only a couple pounds out of top 10, so we had high hopes going into the second day, but second day morning came and we had 15-mile-an-hour winds and rain. So I actually didn't even record the takeoff. It was brutal out there. I had a hard time seeing, and kind of everybody just followed in line and started driving north. Is about it, what everybody did. There were some people that I think turned around and just gave up for the day. But that's tournament fishing for you. You never know what she's gonna have. So as you can see, she's rocking and rolling pretty good out there. And we said as the day started, we're like, it doesn't matter if we have to drive 2 hours one way and only get to fish half your day, but we had to get to fishable water. So we stopped at the first fishable water we got, and it was about 45-minute drive, and we regret not continuing on to go the rest of the way up the lake. But we thought it was a fishable area, and it's an area we've caught fish in the past. We know people were catching fish on it the week leading up to it, but we only found a school of sheephead, and that was all we can get. There were some people that fished by us that come to find out they actually had an amazing day, but we just weren't using the right baits. They downsized and ended up finding a really good school of walleyes really close to where we were, but we kind of just bopped around all day and didn't end up having any luck. It's unfortunate, but we learned from it, right? When we say to go all the way north, or to make your long drive, which in this case would have been all the way north, do it, because everybody that did go up there ended up having a good day of fishing. A lot of people limited out, and most of those people ended up cashing checks for the tournament. But for the whole tournament, you know, we really learned out of it. We learned that stick to your guns, you know. Say when you're going to say that you're only going to keep certain size fish, obviously you're going to have slight bends to the rules. Like a 18.5-inch fish that weighs almost 3 pounds isn't something to shy away from, but stick with it, right? So we regret throwing that 16.5-inch in the live well, but we weren't in a bad place after the first day. But you live and learn, right? Day 2, drive all the way, you know, do what you say you're going to do, because you have no regrets looking back on the day. But it is what it is. So day 2 was the day of first for us. It was our first ever 0 together, but it is what it is. I want to thank everybody who has stuck it out and listened to this narration this entire time and watched it. Leave a comment below if you like the narration or if you'd rather have some music overlay. It's something new. I hope to not make it normal. Obviously, it was a fluke that I turned the mic off, but I do appreciate everybody who sat and watched. If you haven't already, like and subscribe for future uploads, and I hope everybody else has a great day.